The mirror room by horror tale. The room that should never exist. Some doors aren't meant to open. Some rooms aren't meant to be found. When I moved into my new apartment, I wasn't expecting much. Just a quiet place close to work. The building was old but clean, the neighbors kept to themselves, and the rent was within my budget. Perfect, I thought, until I found the door. It wasn't on the floor plan. It wasn't visible at first. Hidden behind an old shelf in the bedroom, it was a narrow wooden door with no handle, just a keyhole. And from the moment I found it, I started seeing things in the mirror. Chapter 1. The first glimpse. The first time I saw her, I thought it was a trick of the light. I was brushing my teeth late at night. The apartment was quiet, the hum of the refrigerator the only background noise. I looked up into the mirror above the sink, expecting the usual bleary-eyed version of myself staring back. But someone else was there. Behind me, a pale woman, impossibly thin, with skin that looked like wet paper. Her long black hair clung to her face and shoulders, dripping as if she had just crawled out of water. And her mouth, God, her mouth, was stretched unnaturally wide, as though it had been torn open, ear to ear. My heart slammed into my ribs. I spun around so fast I knocked over the toothbrush holder. No one. I turned back to the mirror. Nothing but my reflection. Alone. I laughed nervously, chalking it up to exhaustion and stress. Maybe I needed more sleep. Maybe I was just seeing things. I tried to shake it off, but that night, I left the bathroom light on. The next day was uneventful, but I couldn't stop thinking about the woman. Her eyes weren't angry, they weren't sad either, they were hungry. That evening, I stood in front of the mirror again. Same bathroom, same light. I brushed my teeth slowly, watching the reflection closely. There was nothing. No pale woman, no ghost. Until I turned away. In the corner of the mirror, just for a split second, I saw movement. I looked back. Nothing. I leaned closer, pressing my palm against the glass. "Hello," I whispered, half joking, trying to convince myself I was being ridiculous. But the glass was cold. Too cold. Colder than anything in the room should have been. That night, I had a dream. I was in a room made of mirrors. Endless reflections stretched into black infinity. And in each mirror I was there, except one. In that one, I was missing. She was there instead, and she was smiling. Chapter 2. The Key. That night, just as I was drifting off to sleep, I heard it. Scratching. Faint. Delicate. Like nails on wood. It came from behind the wall, the one in my bedroom where the old shelf stood. I sat up, heart pounding. The sound stopped. I waited, holding my breath. Minutes passed. Then it started again. Scratch, scratch, tap, tap, tap. I got out of bed, walked over to the shelf and pressed my ear to the wall. The sound was louder now, rhythmic, almost like someone knocking in a pattern. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I walked into the kitchen and froze. On the table was a key, rusty, old, heavy, with intricate, almost ancient carvings. I didn't own any keys like that. I didn't touch it right away. I just stared at it. Something in me knew exactly where it went. I returned to the bedroom, moved the shelf, and there it was. The door. A narrow wooden door, no handle, just a keyhole. With trembling fingers, I slid the key into the lock. It turned easily, as if it had been waiting. The door creaked open. The room beyond was small. No windows. 4 walls covered entirely in antique mirrors. Some were cracked, some were foggy, some were pristine. The air was still, too still, and in every mirror, I saw myself, except one. In that one, I wasn't there. She was. She stepped forward in the glass, her eyes locked on mine, her smile widened, slow and deliberate. Then she raised her hand and placed it on her side of the mirror, and her fingertips pressed through.